Thank you, everyone, for joining us for the 2020 European Leadership Awards. Before we hop in, I want to take a minute and talk about our reality today. The fact that I'm recognizing each of you through a screen instead of in Dublin. In a way, this is antithetical to everything our community is about. For 3 years now, I've been talking about how, if we want to share the heart and soul of USGBC, we must be all in. We must be willing to consider people who don't look like us, who don't have the same resources as us, who experience inequity, who quite literally live in a very different world than the one you and I do. But what I could not imagine is how unfamiliar it would feel to still be asking you to be all in if we could not even be in the same place, sharing ideas one-on-one and face-to-face. So much of better building is about being better people. It's in the physical act of shaking each other's hands, seeing eye to eye, and getting a gut feeling about the next big idea because we were together when it hatched, when it was presented, when it was challenged, and finally when it was accepted and then lauded by our peers. For months, I was looking forward to congratulating each and every one of you in person on your incredible work. This is not the same. But I cannot say this enough. It matters a lot. Leadership, like the kind we are honoring here today, matters now more than ever. There are a lot of buzzwords floating around right now. A few days ago, I started to take issue with the rhetoric surrounding this idea of the greater good. We hear comments from political and economic leaders about herd immunity, about the risk versus reward of opening a city or an economy without a vaccine, about what is best for this country versus that country. The way this term is bandied about is disturbing. Because to put it bluntly, the subtext of the debate between those leaders is often a much darker question most of them are thinking but would never dare say aloud. How much is the value of a human life? Now, the writers and thinkers and leaders I've been listening to and reading have facts and data at the ready to answer that question. But I've realized that the root of my disappointment is coming from a very good place. You, us, in all our love for measurements and data, no one here in our green building community would ever ask that question, let alone try to quantify it. In fact, the thread between each of our 5 awardees today is that at your root, you share a very different and compassionate set of values. That every life matters equally, that every person, regardless of background or circumstance, deserves a healthy, affordable, and safe place to work and live, and that every human being deserves a universal living standard. Each of our 5 recipients has a distinct achievement in sustainability that, without hesitation, fulfills these ideals. And it is truly my honor, especially under these circumstances, to share their stories with you today. Our first awardee has over 60 lead projects around the world. A GRESB participant since 2012 and an early adopter of ARC, Union Investment Real Estate has written and held true to what they call a contract with the future. In committing to Germany's target of a virtually climate-neutral building stock by 2050, the company has created a trademark strategy aptly named Manage to Green. The future Union envisions is a one with a key performance indicator that allows tenants, investors, managers, and other market players to see how a building or portfolio has been assessed against specific sustainability criteria. This score also shows what proportion of the Manage to Green strategy has already been implemented. For me, this is what sets Union apart. The company describes managing to green as significantly stepping up our level of personal interaction with tenants. They say the aim is to ensure that the majority of the leases we agree with tenants in the future are green leases. And to do that, they are changing the way they listen, learn, and talk. Over the last 2 years, with USGBC and Living Standard, we too have made some changes. We have worked tirelessly to understand how we can better pitch for progress in our field. In other words, we have admitted that language at times is lacking. And we have learned that can stifle the work. That when we can't explain why better buildings mean better lives, it's harder to get people to move from an awareness of sustainable practices to an actual adoption of them. Union Real Estate understands how to make this transition. Today, they are doubling down on this work with the creation of a new label titled Atmosphere, a system that helps capture the environmental pathways of its properties and in turn promote transparency around its commitment to sustainability. I am particularly moved by something Union Property Manager Catherine Unterreiner has spoken about. As she puts it, a building is a living thing. A property should not be just kept in good condition, it also needs to be continuously improved. To me, this is the essence, not just of this exceptional company, but of the leadership needed in our industry right now. We need to talk about buildings the way we talk about people. Because just like these structures, all of us are living, breathing works in progress. And the more we make our buildings synonymous with the people inside them, the more we can move people to an understanding that saving CO2 means saving money and, more importantly, saving lives. Union Investment Real Estate is doing that every day. Not only do they genuinely understand the impact this can have on performance, but they're also ensuring a new generation of tenants and investors not just buy in, but believe in the inherent humanity and value in this work.
Every day we're trying to exceed our own expectations by learning from others and sharing best practices. Union Investment is one of Europe's leading real estate investment managers. We manage around 36 billion euros worth of assets in non-listed, open-ended and special funds. Our high-quality portfolio comprises more than 370 assets in 22 national markets in Europe, the Americas and Asia Pacific. In a dynamic and late cycle market, a forward-looking approach is essential for sustained success. As an experienced risk manager, we remain focused on a risk-adjusted investment approach. We continue to look for core properties with lot sizes ranging from 10 million euros to €500 million. Alongside the geographical diversification, we're also committed to diversify by property type.
The hotel industry is exciting, and despite Airbnb, the hotel segment more and more, including new concepts, is growing. We are one of the most active hotel investors in Europe. A strong track record, also in the US, underpins our ambition to further expand our hotel portfolio.
In the retail sector, we're also targeting further international expansion, from high street retail to retail parks and shopping centers.
Urbanity is a megatrend, and new trends create new opportunities. We have established attractive fund solutions to invest in the emergent micro-living segment and the modern workspaces offered by office campus properties.
Touching or entering a project the very first time is a very emotional moment. Thanks to experienced technical teams, we can analyze and optimize the quality of development projects early on. This allows us to sign forward deals.
So if you're interested in linking your ideas to our investment strategies, let's talk.
It is my honor to present Union Investment Real Estate Group with the 2020 USGBC Leadership Award for ESG. It's hard to forget the images coming out of Europe this year. The profound loss of life, the unimaginable suffering, and the remarkable moments of solidarity. In many ways, resilience has never proved more powerful than it has in Italy. And when we look beyond the heartbroken country of today, we also see a country steeped in architectural history, and one that has always placed a tremendous value on the notion that we can and should build on our past. I could not agree more. It was just 4 months ago that our next honoree achieved LEED Gold certification. The Palazzo del Monte di Pieta is the oldest historical banking building in the world to reach this level of certification. Debunking a common mainstream misconception that greener buildings must be newer buildings, the team behind Palazzo del Monte di Pieta's restoration has improved conservation of water and heat and changed the way waste is recycled. But if you talk to the people on site, it is much more than these practical overhauls. They are not just reimagining the way the building runs according to certification requirements. They are planning for a transformation of mindset, of behavioral patterns, of accountability, and for a renewed commitment to the community and each other. What is so notable about all of this is that it is not happening in a vacuum. The new strides in leadership at the Palazzo have come on the heels of Italy's education minister promising that sustainability will be built into the civics curriculum across the country. Wrap your head around that for a moment. With everything going on in that country and our world right now, the architects, developers, and business leaders in Italy are focusing on restoration. The educational leaders in Italy are focusing on reshaping generational awareness. And together, they are creating both the physical and psychological infrastructure for a sustainable future. When I think about the Palazzo, I think about the variety of voices involved. This has not just been a round table, it has been a well-rounded group of individuals, all working to realize the notion that better buildings equal better lives. From the president of the National Council of Architects, Giuseppe Capochin, to Renata Codello, former superintendent of architectural heritage and today director of the Chini Foundation of Venice, to Claudio Rebeschini of the R&S Engineering Studio, who followed the restoration, to Alberto Ballardini of Habitec, and Nicola Di Battista, director of the magazine La Architetto. This has been a team effort. And selfishly, I like the way they talk about LEED. I really do. I like that in mentioning the obvious goal of eliminating emissions, they take it a step further and humanize this work, just as Union did. To say that the goal of LEED certifying the Palazzo is to carry out continuous checks to give life to the city. Indeed, it is. It is an honor and a privilege to present Palazzo del Monte di Pieta with the 2020 USGBC Leadership Award for Existing Buildings. To say we are all experiencing a collective worldwide gaping hole in our sense of community without this summer's Olympics is an understatement. But our next recipient, the International Olympic Committee, still has a momentous achievement for us to marvel at: the Olympic House in Lausanne, Switzerland. So much of the critical dialogue happening around the globe is about engaging local partners in how we rebuild our lives, our economies, and our societies. With its LEED Platinum certification, the Olympic House is an incredible example of what happens when we recognize that partnership is the new leadership. The Olympic House is an unprecedented collaboration between the IOC, local authorities, suppliers, and academics, and it truly exemplifies the impact that engaging the local community around a project of this magnitude can have. It is the first international headquarters and the second building overall to obtain the highest level of the Swiss Sustainable Construction Standard, SNBS, and it has received the most points of any LEED version 4 certified new construction project to date. Additionally, the IOC has developed a sustainability strategy that focuses on infrastructure and natural sites, sourcing and resource management, mobility, workforce, and climate. We know that leadership is an inherent part of sport. It's a world that places us on a pedestal, and with the Olympics, I mean that in the literal sense, the value of both the individual and the team. One cannot succeed without the other. This ethos is true in green building as well. And it is not lost on me for one moment that these dualities, partnership and leadership, individual and team, are the very reasons this building will be a lasting mark on humanity for years to come. Let's take a look.
A pillar of the reforms of Olympic Agenda 2020 is good governance. And an important part of good governance is efficiency. And you can only manage such an important organization like the IOC in the most efficient way when you have all the staff together under one roof and working closely together.
This is really close to what we envisioned.
It's all about humanity. It's all about performance. It's all about greater energy. And most importantly, it's about transforming the world.
C'est vraiment une très grande réussite architecturale.
It's thought of being a building for the people who are going to work here. It's designed around a lot of different components. If you start from the outside, the design is made in such a way that it links in with the parks around. The shape is kind of fluid in the way that it's designed. We wanted to create a facade that is almost like a stop-motion movie. It kind of captures a move from one to another. The rings plays a double role. It plays the role of telling the story of a key thing for the ISC, the 5 rings. But in this case, it's also a key thing that makes the building work, because this is actually the piece that connects the floor. Everything is possible to move around here, so it's possible to change the space a lot. So over time, it's possible to move furniture around, sit and group in different ways, and that will change over time, we believe. It's a flexible space, but it also a place or a space that divides up a fairly big building in quite a lot of small areas, small neighborhoods that are different from places to place. And that is also key, I believe, for the people who's going to work here. So you don't feel that you sit in a big open space just somewhere, but actually have a lot of nice corner locations close to the facade where they can get something out of this fantastic location.
Is a phenomenal achievement and also a milestone for the global green building movement. What it actually means is that LEED buildings are about leadership. But when you try to attempt platinum, you are going for extraordinary leadership. You're trying to define what's possible. Now, examples and inspirations like this will help us to really build the case for a carbon neutral world. It is my great pleasure to present the 2020 Leadership Award for New Construction to the International Olympic Committee. Our 4th awardee is no stranger to leadership. With COIMA's creativity and vision, the city of Milan has undergone a decade-and-a-half urban regeneration process for Porto Novo. Everybody here knows that cities are at the forefront of the climate fight. Time and again, we are seeing cities take the lead. But here is the thing. No one, not even Milan, not even one of the largest cities in the EU, can do this work alone. And that's where companies like COIMA have stepped up. To date, COIMA has already developed 20 LEED certified buildings in Milan, and it has another 20 in the certification pipeline. With 400,000 square meters of LEED certified buildings, a portfolio of this caliber is not just an achievement worth celebrating, it's worth replicating. The commitment COIMA has made to its community is an example not just to Italy, but to the rest of the European region, especially now. Before we take a look at the incredible example COIMA is setting and the skyline they're responsible for bringing to life, I want to talk about why its specific form of leadership is indispensable right now. COIMA's laundry list of achievements in sustainability predate the crisis that has befallen Milan and Lombardy. But what we also know is that it is this very dedication that is going to bring the city back to life. Like many cities around the world, the lockdown has proved an unexpected test of our perspective and resolve. This is our chance to see short-term circumstantial environmental gains instead as blueprints for long-term sustainability plans. As I speak, Milan's Councillor for Mobility is creating new ways to curb pollution by promoting cycling and pedestrian walkways and enforcing traffic reduction measures. And I have no doubt that in the coming months and years, because COIMA as an established Sustainable Innovation Committee, its bandwidth to help the city realize post-pandemic success will be unparalleled. Before the pandemic, COIMA had already announced a renewed focus on wellness. In fact, when you look at the values its leaders have outlined, it's no coincidence that you see a lot of the same foundations we pride ourselves in here at USGBC. Independence, entrepreneurship, excellence, integrity, transparency, and all in the name of leaving our cities and communities better than we found them. From Bosco Verticale to the Solario Tower to the Pirellino building, let's look at just some of this rapidly growing portfolio. I am thrilled to present the 2020 USGBC Leadership Award to COIMA for its building portfolio transformation. Our final recipient is a model of true leadership. Ecover recently achieved True Zero Waste certification, but the story of carving its unique path in the field of sustainability is more than 4 decades old. In 1979, after seeing the damage cleaning chemicals cause to waterways and aquatic life, a group of Belgian scientists worked out of a tiny shed to develop a phosphate-free formula. 10 years later, its first washing powder hit the supermarkets in Belgium. Since then, Ecover has worked with WaterAid, has created an eco-surfactant for surface cleaners, 100% recyclable plastic bottles from renewable sugarcane, and palm oil-free fabric softener. But it was the year before USGBC was even founded that Ecover took the first big step, is why we recognize them today. In 1992, the company was ahead of the curve in the design of its ecological factory. With a living green roof for insulation, low-energy bricks from recycled coal waste, and reclaimed wood beams, it's a testament to the possibilities for clean manufacturing in Europe. And since then, Ecover has not rested on that achievement. Instead, and much like the other recipients today, they saw one idea, one step, and one structure as just the beginning. Over the last 3 decades, the team has reimagined the way they run the site, redesigning the bin layout of the factory, ensuring collections of waste by external contractors is optimal to avoid unnecessary waste pickups, moving to bulk storage of raw materials and reusable drums to avoid excessive packaging use, implementing a composting system to ensure that all food and garden waste is converted into usable compost. And the leadership team reviews waste management performance on a quarterly basis to properly relay data and insights in an effective manner. Ecover already had a high diversion rate of waste from landfill and incineration, but True Zero Waste certification provided the best framework for a more holistic approach to waste management. Most importantly, Ecover has engaged its employees in the certification process in an effort to make sure a focus on waste reduction remains a core value at the factory. Ecover has donated products to frontline workers in fire stations, crisis centers, and nursing homes. And in the corporate culture, where we often hear about warehouses, factories, and retail stores that don't provide PPE for staff, by contrast, Ecover is making masks for their employees to ensure they feel safe when they are creating soap for the rest of us. So much of what we plan to do in the second generation of USGBC is about making sure that the places we live and work give more back to us than we take. Ecover is genuinely one of those places. I sincerely love that it's a company that rewrites the often upsetting narrative we know about corporate factory spaces, that they are unsafe or feel like a cogs in a very large machine. Instead, Ecover built its factory on the idea that it wanted to take care of the environment and simultaneously create a workspace that not only fosters purpose-driven work, but protects its workers in the process. Today, we are honoring Ecover for the clean, healthy, safe example it sets for other companies and factories, and for the fact that its leadership in waste reduction is much more relevant and impactful on health and well-being than ever before. Thank you, Ecover, for your tireless commitment to your employees and to your mission. It's a pleasure to present you with the 2020 USGBC Leadership Award for your zero waste efforts. Before we go, I want to thank everyone for joining us today. I want to thank the honorees for their lasting contributions to this work. And I want to circle back to what I mentioned earlier. When I described the surreal and uneasy feeling I have about asking you to be all in when we can't even all get into the same room together right now. But I also know that the people and organizations we have honored here today give me a more powerful feeling, one of resolve. Because the leaders we recognize today are all in on the intersection of the climate work and human health and well-being. They are all in for a world where we don't resent one another, but instead recommit to each other. These people are going to make that world a lot more possible. I know that when I sat down to think about what I would say to all of you today, I found myself disappointed in that cost analysis of a human life, in the debate over the greater good. But I also know that today I feel like we have a new twist on that phrase, where some leaders seek the greater good, but often unwittingly and in the name of forward progress leave others behind. I believe it's the leaders in this group who will knowingly create an alternative to that way of thinking, a greener good, a world in which we prioritize sustainability, health and wellness, resilience, and equity. A world in which human life is not compromised, but instead championed as the focus of why we build in the first place. Maybe that is sentimental, but that does not make it less true. I miss seeing your faces. I miss traveling to be with you all in person. And I hope this small virtual ceremony is in some small way a tribute to how grateful we are for your membership, your friendship, and your leadership. Thank you all.